When you're out and about, do you hear music drifting your way? From the store's Muzak to your personal playlist, music is different for everyone. For me, and for you. Music reminds us of memories and feelings from our past. Sometimes it reminds us of who we were and who we are today. And sometimes it reminds us of who we're meant to be. I'm a writer, and these are my music memories.
Am I dreaming?
Paranomia by The Art of Noise. The path to this song in my musical brain forest is a long one. There was, well, let's just call him an icon in the 1980s. With computers slowly gaining mainstream popularity, the world was ready for a new kind of spokesman, a new kind of hero, a computer-generated kind. Now, I'm certainly not talking about the deep fake masterpieces that exist today. I'm talking about Max Headroom. You probably saw Max for the first time in his famous Coke commercials. They were everywhere on TV. You just couldn't miss it. The ads had no effect on me because, well, I was a kid and my mom was the Coke drinker in the house. Well, the Diet Coke drinker. So I don't remember having many cans of Diet Coke when I was young. I seem to have odd memory flashes of snatching pop cans from under my mom's bed at some point. I think she hid them from me because I'd probably drink them all up. But I can't really be sure of that memory because it was so long ago, but the flashes seem authentic. But back to the ad. It wasn't the product that captured me. It was Max himself. His personality seems to encapsulate the 80s. Snarky, futuristic, and, well, odd. Everything I remember about pop culture back then. Max Headroom next appeared in his own TV show. It was a grimy science fiction show that kind of predicted the future. They deal with large corporations taking advantage or even committing crimes against average people. The series also starred a young actor named Matt Frewer. This was the first thing I'd ever seen him in, but since then he's been extremely busy. He's been a regular cast member in various animated series, shows like Disney's Gargoyles, Hercules, and the short-lived cartoon Dumb and Dumber. Mr. Frewer was also in the Stephen King miniseries The Stand. He was Moloch in Zack Snyder's Watchmen as well. Most recently, he played Judge Fred Wright on the HBO series Perry Mason. The Max Headroom show didn't do all that well in the UK, where it started, but someone in North America saw it and somehow got it played in the US. So ABC aired 14 episodes. Now, I know it didn't last very long, but in my opinion, it was trying to be a technology-based thriller attacking global corporations that were controlling the population. But the landscape of the dystopian future wasn't what people wanted back then. I mean, in the show, people were scavenging for food and barely scraping by. Technology in the 80s was always portrayed as clean and pristine. I agree, the alien movies always looked grimy and Blade Runner was really far into the future. Remember RoboCop? He looked so clean and shiny and cool. That's what I thought computers and their ilk were supposed to be like. It was supposed to be paving the way for the Star Trek future that we all wanted. But Max was stuck deep in the mud. And that's probably what turned the audience off a little. But that wasn't the end of Max Headroom's claim to fame. The idea of Max was so unique and special that advertisers wanted him to sell their products for him. The Coca-Cola company was the first to get him. Actually, I think they might have been the only ones to really use Max Headroom. He promoted New Coke, the Coca-Cola company's idea to change the classic drink. The ads were fine, but the product was not. In fact, it's largely considered the biggest corporate mistake in history. People hated it. As a result, they also turned away from Max Headroom. But Max also had a music career, at least to me. In 1986, while his show was on TV and the commercials were running, he was in a music video for the song Paranomia by an English band called The Art of Noise. And I honestly believe that the Art of Noise name is simply the best band name that I had ever heard. The band was a pretty avant-garde band using electronic techniques to sample and create their music. They never really hit it big on the worldwide stage though. But my interest was in technology. I was tinkering with the Commodore 64 and TSR-80 computers at the time, and the amazing Max Headroom really made me take notice of this little band. After doing my customary musical research, I discovered that they had more than one really great song. The song Legs was released on their album Invisible Silence. The album also gave the world the Peter Gunn theme with the guitar by Dwayne Eddy. That was their big award winner early in their career. A little later, they got to create the theme song for the 1987 movie Dragnet, starring Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd. All of their music uses samples in interesting ways. I was enamored with their music because of the creative way they used technology to create music. As the years went by, their music seemed to get a little more surreal. The Seduction of Claude Debussy album was a perfect example of that. It was kind of like a dream record that has spoken words and instruments blending together. But in my opinion, of all their records had tracks on them that were kind of dreamy. Music you could kind of drift away to. Their song Paranomia was the only one that really held my attention. It's held my attention ever since the first time I heard it. And yes, I'm aware that part of that is probably because of the Max Headroom vocals that are running throughout the song. I still consider it to be one of my favorite songs of all time. It's an interesting combination of catchy beats and Max's quirky words that still keep it fresh today. Max Headroom is also featured through the music video. His inclusion really helps take the viewer's attention away from the primitive-looking computer graphics that also run rampant through the video. Well, back then, it looked amazing, but with Max Headroom in it, the video is still very, very watchable today. The Art of Noise is something everyone should listen to at least once, especially Paranomia. Google them, Spotify them, find them on the interwebs, just so you can experience their music. It's pretty out there. Now, I don't ever remember thinking that Max Headroom was anything but an entirely created computer manifestation. I thought technology back in the 80s could actually do all the things that Max did. He had the stutter that seemed possible, even expected, when someone was playing around with computers back then. I honestly believed it. But of course, I was wrong. It was oh so wrong. Matt Frewer went through a lengthy makeup and prosthetic regimen so that he could perform Max Headroom. Hours were spent making him, with his plastic mask, look artificial. The backgrounds and almost everything else, when it came to Max, was not really all that computer-driven, except for his trademark stutter. It was definitely computer edits to help with that part of the speech. But that shattering of my dream hasn't taken away any of the admiration I have when I listen to Paranomia. In fact, I guess it just strengthens it. I mean, if the actor's willing to go through all that just to sit in a chair and read dialogue, it must have been something special was created on that first day, right? The television show really faded from the public consciousness in the decades since its first appearance. The show isn't streamed anywhere. The DVDs are completely out of print, so I suppose that the strange, odd show was only able to live on in my memory, which is okay, because I think the song Paranomia, I always think of Max and his odd little TV show. But Deadline reported earlier this year there was a Max Headroom reboot in the works. Apparently, Mr. Matt Frewer will also be in it. It sounds like it could be something really interesting. So I'm going to keep my eyes open. You should too. One last thing I discovered while researching this story is that Paranomia is an actual word. I honestly thought it was just something the band made up for the title of their song. Nope, I was wrong again. It actually means an aphasia characterized by the incorrect naming of objects. Jeez. Even reading that now, I kind of have a hard time understanding what that actually means. But it doesn't sound all that good. But then, maybe Max Headroom had it coming. After all, he did try to sell me the worst cola ever created. Thanks for listening to a story that fell out of my head. Were you aware of Max Headroom? If you were, and you were forced to drink that new Coke, please let me know in the comments below. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.